You're gonna give me the signal, right, Deb?
Yes, we're getting on.
Okay.
Okay, we're all set.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the Judiciary Committee. It's the first public hearing of any sort for this session. So we're about to begin. I'll call it public hearing to order, and we're not in a meeting. Give my co-chair and the ranking member the chance to say something. This is the first meeting. Anything, Rep. Staffstrom?
Yeah, I'll reserve kind of opening comments for when we start our committee meeting. I know we have a few new members joining us today. So I think we probably want to do a little bit introductory stuff at the beginning of our committee meeting, but I'll save it then after we get through the public hearing.
Okay, Rep. Fishbein.
No, sir. Good morning to everybody, and nice to see all these fine judges before us here today.
And I'm not sure if Senator Kissel's joined us, but if so, your opportunity. If not, let's get to the business at hand, and that is listening to the nominees who are before us. They're to be judges of the Superior Court. We're beginning with the Honorable Carl J. Schuman of West Hartford. And I believe I saw him in the Brady Box bunch we have here. Judge Schuman, good morning. Ready to just swear you in. So if you raise your right hand and repeat after me. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you will provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
You may provide your opening statement.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Winfield, Staffstrom, Ranking Member Fishbein, Ranking Member Kissel, I'm not sure if you're there, and other members of the Judiciary Committee. Thank you for the honor of inviting me to appear before you today. I would also like to thank Governor Levine for nominating me to sit for a fourth term as a Superior Court judge. During the previous term, I have sat in New Britain as presiding judge of tax and administrative appeals, Litchfield for civil matters, Hartford for criminal matters, Hartford for a complex litigation docket, and now Waterbury for criminal matters. Outside of the courthouse, I've been active as an adjunct faculty member at the Quinnipiac University School of Law and in editing and writing legal books and articles. It certainly has been a privilege and a challenge to sit as a Superior Court judge and to preside over cases that are so important to the lives of our citizens. I would be most grateful for the opportunity to serve another term, and to that end, I welcome any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Judge Schuman. To the members of the committee, if you would like to engage by asking questions, the easiest way is to raise your hand in the raise hand function. It's easier to see you that way. So if you have questions, please raise your hands. Now, Rep. Fishbein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Judge. Judge, I don't know if you remember, I was a clerk at the New Britain Superior Court when you first became a judge. And you were known to be very prolific. And still what I hear is Judge Schuman wants to be busy. And that's really good to hear. I know, many times in the clerk's office, you'd come down, I need some more files. That's something that we really need. So, I've been before you. I've never had a problem, and congratulations on your renomination and hopefully your confirmation. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Fishbein.
Thank you, Representative Fishbein. Comment, question from other members of the committee? Rep. Staffstrom.
Actually, let Rep. Callahan go first, Mr. Chair.
Representative Callahan.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did have the opportunity to work with Judge Schuman back in Danbury years ago. And I will say from a court staff point of view, I think that's a big part of the judge's job, is to work well with the court staff. And Judge Schuman was always great to work with, as well as a hard worker. So it's a pleasure to see you this morning and still looking so young, Judge. And it's good to see you in this venue. And I think you're a great guy and a great judge.
Well, thank you, Representative Callahan. It was good working with you and with Representative Fishbein.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Representative Callahan. Comment or question from others? If not, Representative Stastrom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Judge Schuman, good to see you again.
Same.
How do you enjoy being back doing, I think, what was your first love of criminal work after your stint on the complex lit docket?
All right, I'm finally here. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning, Ranking Member Kissel and Mr. Chairman, Representative Stafstrom. I'm very much enjoying criminal matters in Waterbury. It is almost like pre-pandemic court in that we are in court in person for everything. I have lawyers in chambers. The police come into chambers for warrants. The only difference is we're all wearing masks, obviously not right now since no one else is in chambers, which makes it a little more difficult, but we're all trying to get by. One of the great things about this job is the opportunity to do different things in different places. And I have enjoyed the privilege of doing civil and other matters. And now I'm very much enjoying criminal matters.
Well, good, Judge. I'm glad to hear that, and certainly I want to associate myself with the remarks of Representative Callahan and Representative Fishbein. I too have had the opportunity to appear before you actually try a case as local counsel. I think it might have been your first complex trial after you took over for Judge Knox, or fairly close to it up in Hartford. For the benefit of the other members of the committee, I agree. Judge Schuman, in my experience, is one of the harder working judges in our Superior Court system. I was particularly impressed that case you took over for Judge Knox upon her elevation. There was a teed up motion to strike, I think at the time, that had been extensively briefed. It was a case that had a lot of lawyers on it, a lot at stake. I think you walked in week 2, had fully dissected the brief, and seemed to me like you had written half your decision kind of walking into oral argument, because it came out of the bench and said, all right, let's cut to the chase here. This is what I'm thinking on this count. This is what I'm thinking on this count. Your cup account is overpled. This is the business dispute, so that's out. Let's focus in on these two that I still have questions on. And I think you had a decision out on complex issues within 2 weeks in order to keep the case moving, and that's really the way it should work in my mind. So commend you, and glad you're willing to do this for another term.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's good to be in your court.
Thank you, Representative Stastrom. Further comment or question? If not, thank you very much for sitting before us this morning, Judge Schuman. We will move now. Representative Palm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just briefly interested if the judge, if you are at liberty to talk at all about one of the decisions that you cited as very important, which is the CHRO versus the Board of Ed in Cheshire. Just curious what that was, if you're at liberty to summarize it.
Yes, that is a final decision, so it's not a pending case. That was a long time ago, but as I recall, the issue was whether the CHRO had jurisdiction to hear claims of discrimination in the public schools. And there was an argument that it did not, because of the State Board of Education had exclusive jurisdiction. And I ruled that the CHRO did have jurisdiction, and I think it was substantially affirmed by the Connecticut Supreme Court.
Thank you for that. Interesting. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Representative Palm. Comment or question from other members of the committee? Comment or question? Seeing none now, thank you, Judge Schuman, for joining us this morning. And we will next hear
Thank you,
from—
Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. We'll next hear from the Honorable Maureen M. Keegan of Cheshire.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, before Judge Keegan starts, was that our first judge before us today?
Yes, Senator Kissel was.
And we didn't vote on the agenda or not the agenda, but the
Yep.
bills that we're raising that's going to come later.
That's all later.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
Judge Keegan,
I'm here. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
we can hear you loud and clear. So
Terrific.
we're going to do your oath and then you'll have the opportunity to provide your statement. So if you'd raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
You may provide us with your statement.
Thank you. Good morning, Senator Winfield, Representative Staffstrom, Senator Kissel, and all the members of the Judiciary Committee that are here today. I am Maureen Keegan. I live in Cheshire, Connecticut, and I'm honored to be before you today. I want to thank Governor Lamont for my renomination to the bench. For 16 years, I've had the privilege of serving the people of the state of Connecticut. And if confirmed, I look forward to continuing in that job. Over the last 8 years, I have sat criminal in both Middletown and New Britain. I'm currently the Assistant Administrative Judge for the Judicial District. I am the presiding judge for criminal here in New Britain, and committees that I have worked on that I think are of importance and probably interest to you. I was a member of the Jury Restoration Committee of the branch when we were finding ways to bring trials back during this period of time. As you probably know, New Britain is one of the 6 courts that remained open during the pandemic. I was here every day during that period of time that we were open, making sure that our cases got heard, that domestic violence victims had protection, that people that were charged with crimes got their bonds reviewed, and we tried to move as many cases as we could during those early days. And I'm proud to say that I believe we did a very good job here in New Britain. So I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Judge Keegan. Members of the committee, if you have a question, please raise your hand using the raise hand function. Representative Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Judge. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the domestic violence experience that you had? I know that as lawmakers, we're hearing and researching about the rise in that during the pandemic, but from your perspective, could you just tell us what it was like on the bench a little bit? Thank you.
Well, of the cases that we were able to hear in the early days of the pandemic, domestic violence cases were always part of that. So as you know, there were many sort of infractions and other lower level cases that we just kind of were both continued because we couldn't bring people into the court. So we focused only on those cases where somebody was held on bond and needed to have their bond reviewed, and it was the domestic violence cases. So we were able to process protective orders. We were able to make sure that all of those actions took place. And of course, we had Middletown criminal cases here in New Britain during those early days when Middletown Criminal Court was not up and running.
Thank you for that. And thank you for your work on that during that extraordinary time. And I know it was something that affected a lot of families, and I appreciate all you did.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative.
Mr. Chair?
Senator Kissel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your Honor, congratulations on renomination. So due to the executive orders, there's sort of been an ebb and flow, foreclosures, evictions, different matters. And I'm just wondering how the court has handled sort of that. Instead of a steady flow where you could sort of predict it, it sort of comes in waves now, I would guess. And looking to the future, how do the courts envision handling this?
Well, I think one of the most important things I learned as a judge and in talking with my fellow judges, the importance of being able to pivot, if you will. I had to cover cases in the other jurisdictions that were in the courthouse because I was one of only 2 judges that was in the building. So if it was a domestic matter, if it was a small claims that when we started bringing things up and doing them virtually, we all need to be able to pitch in and make sure that the job of the people that gets done, because we are here to adjudicate their issues, and it has really been eye-opening. And I think that I've just seen a great here in New Britain where everybody's helping out, everybody helps to get the job done. So, as you know, we're short on staff, and we have a lot of people that left during the pandemic, but our clerk's offices, our marshals, the attorneys that come here, everybody is making sure that as best we can, the job gets done.
And one follow-up question, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
In speaking, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, but in speaking in the last couple of months with the Chief Court Administrator, Judge Carroll, he said sort of that there have been changes made to accommodate the needs of providing justice to our citizenry throughout the pandemic. So there's been utilization of certain Zoom hearings and things like that. And the notion was sort of given to me by His Honor, and I have the utmost respect for Judge Carroll and everybody else in the judicial branch, that even assuming there's going to be a day, hopefully not too far away, where the pandemic is in the rearview mirror, that we've learned some things, if not how we handle cases, the use of technology, that it's never going to be back to where it was 3 years ago, that there are some things that we're going to carry forward because they just help with the efficient use of resources, limited resources. It's my understanding that we are down in excess of 50 judges at this time due to retirements, and that may accelerate a little bit with the changes to state pension obligations and things like that come at the end of June. And I guess my question is, what do you envision that we're going to take with us into the future that has been helpful in getting through this pandemic? And as you had indicated in your previous answer, that you're really short-staffed in a lot of areas, both on the bench and I would guess in the clerk's offices and throughout the entire system.
We use the Microsoft Teams system, and how I use it. And because in the early days of this, we needed to make sure we had less people coming to the courthouse. So other people get to use it how they see fit. This is how I use it. Every day at 9 a.m. when I start my pretrials, I have a sign-in ability. So if an attorney needs to just check in with me to let me know that he or she did or did not get something finished that they thought they could get done by the date that the case was for, I leave it on. So this computer that I'm speaking into, I leave it on. I do my pretrials from 9 to 10. They can dip in, let me know. They don't have to come here to New Britain. The other attorneys that are here, they just check in with me during that 9 to 10. If you remember in the, let's call it pre-COVID days, there would be a long period of pretrials where a judge may not come out on the bench until 11 o'clock because he or she had to discuss the cases before they went out. What I have done is at 10 o'clock, now I have my videos with folks that are held on bond, that are either going to be pleading, rejecting a plea, being sentenced. So at 10 o'clock, I have different video slots into different correctional facilities. In between that, I call the cases that are ready before me. If I have talked about a case and it's not going to be called in court, I let the attorney go. Another thing I do is I'm excusing certain defendants who we're not going to be doing anything on their case that day. So I've said, you don't need to come to court. Go to your job, go do what you're doing. I think that is something for me that has changed. In the pre-COVID days, defendants came every time their case was down. If I have good reports because they're reporting, or I know that nothing is happening on their case that day, I will excuse them from having to come to court. Now, the rest of my morning involves doing my lockup arraignments. And again, we use Microsoft Teams for that. People don't come up into the courtroom. We have an interview room and we just go through the arraignments one by one. So the other court staff is up in court with me. We're all distanced. Everybody has a mask on. We've got plexiglass, going crazy. And so that is what the morning looks like for me. Then at 2 o'clock, if I have to do another video, perhaps I couldn't get into HCC during the morning, I can set it up for 2. I'll finish up there, finish up the arraignments, but my afternoons are then spent with virtual pretrials. Again, for the attorneys, don't have to come here to New Britain and sit in my chambers to do the pretrial. So the prosecutors are on there, I'm on there, and the defense attorneys are on there. I do 15-minute slots and I do pretrials all afternoon. So those are the ways I've been able to use the video system to try to keep numbers down in the courtroom, to try to keep everybody safe, to excuse people when they don't need to be here, and yet to keep the business moving.
Wow, that's, I can't go to a courthouse and learn all that. So that was really, really helpful. I've always been wondering, it's great to get a snapshot, a day in the life of Judge Keegan. HCC means Hartford Correctional, correct?
HCC, Hartford Correctional Center, yes.
Right. And you know what? I can just, if my legislative aide, Kate McAvoy, who I think is the best in the state, sorry guys, was watching this, she's probably saying, John, that's exactly how I want you to operate with all your constituents. 15-minute intervals, get going, use the Zoom and off to the races. So, and I can see how it's just more efficient in many respects. So I'll leave my colleagues with this. I was reading a fortune cookie the other day, and it was sort of funny because it said, most people dislike change, but most people also like progress. And so change is sometimes hard to get your arms around, but a lot of these things are beneficial changes, making progress, efficient use of time, not wasting people's time to go into court, tread water, do nothing, and then go back home, maybe missing work, and the compensation associated with that. So, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And so, again, congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for letting me ask those questions, and keep up the good work in providing justice to the people of the state of Connecticut, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kissel. Representative Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations, Judge Keegan, on your renomination. Building off of what Senator Kissel was inquiring about, do you think that the ability to do things virtually is making the court more efficient, or at least making you more efficient?
I do find it makes me more efficient, yes, because you've got those, what you have to get done in that time frame. So you are right down to business. You are getting it done. And, then in the afternoon, you have your time slots. I do think it's efficient. I think also in the line of protecting ourselves, I know that things are changing with masking, and, we all hope we're getting beyond COVID at some point, but justice has to go on. The courts do not have the ability to close and say, oh, yeah, we're just closing up because, we don't know what's going to happen. We have to be open, and we have to do the best we can to get the job done under all circumstances. So I really think, Judge Carroll has led us through this, and, we've been provided with everything we need, and you got to roll up your sleeves and do it. And that's what I like to think that we've done here.
And I guess we're all hoping to get back to whatever normal is, or whatever the new normal will be. Would you like to see the virtual options continue even once we're at a point where we don't have any restrictions in the courts and the masking isn't an issue anymore?
I think that the attorneys that I have worked with have liked that option in the afternoons, because they're able to, they don't need to stop into New Britain just because the case is on the docket. I can give like a longer sort of placeholder date, and then in 2 weeks, set up that afternoon pretrial. And then I can go back and change that date if we know client's going to plead out, or the client needs more time to provide an evaluation for the state to consider for mitigation. It's here, I'm using it. I sort of, don't remember not using it now, if you can believe it. I mean, it's been a crazy 2 years, right?
Absolutely. Again, congratulations on your renomination, and thank you for your answers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Callahan. Are there comments or questions from other members of the committee? Comments or question? Seeing none, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Judge Keegan. We will hear next from the Honorable John D. Moore of West Hartford. Judge Moore.
Can you see me?
I hear you. I see. I found you. Okay. So if you would raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you will provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
You may proceed with your statement.
Co-Chairman Senator Winfield and Representative Staffstrom, Ranking Member Senator Kissel and Representative Fishbein, and all members of the Judiciary Committee, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about my renomination. I would also like to thank the governor for renominating me. I have been a judge for one term. In that term, I have sat for 6.5 years in the Litchfield Judicial District, both in the old courthouse in Litchfield and in the new courthouse in Torrington. Aside from Litchfield, I sat for 3 months on a lower level criminal court in Hartford when I became a judge. And I sat for 1 year, the 18-19 term in New Britain, doing almost exclusively civil work. Now, Litchfield is what we call a block assignment. And what this means is that a judge is not pigeonholed into doing one kind of case. In Litchfield, I have done mostly civil cases, but a substantial amount of family cases and a small amount of criminal cases. In the fall of 2019, I was appointed as the administrative judge of this district, along with the presiding judge of civil, family, and criminal. I have participated extensively in the statewide mediation program for civil cases. It has been an honor and a privilege to have represented and served the people of Connecticut as a trial court judge, and I look forward to doing so in the future. And with that, I would welcome any questions from the committee.
Thank you, Judge Moore. I see a question from or a comment from Representative O'Day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Representative O'Day.
It's good to see you there. I've only had a chance to be in front of you on a few occasions, but our paths overlap. Just for the rest of the committee and public, I was a summer associate at Halloran and Sage for summer, and Judge Moore was one of the senior associates, young partners who had to mentor or talk to a number of summer associates, and thanks to his good mentoring, I've made it through. But no, I just want to thank you, Your Honor, for your service, the state of Connecticut. I've heard nothing but great things about how you handle the courtroom and your caseload. So thank you very much, and congratulations on your renomination, and look forward to your continuing as a judge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative O'Day.
Thank you, Representative O'Day. Senator Kissel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Well, I know that we're off to a good start when Representative O'Day chimes in on a judicial renomination or nomination, given his vast experience. It's always a propitious start. I haven't been there a lot, but on a couple of occasions, I did have an opportunity to go up to the old courthouse in Litchfield. It still functions perfectly well, but you sort of feel like you're stepping back in time a little bit also. First of all, how did it function? And second of all, did you have an opportunity to bump into our good friend and former colleague, now Judge Andrew Roraback?
Well, the Litchfield Courthouse was a beautiful building on the green. And in many ways, though, it was a little bit impractical. We only had 2.5 courtrooms in there. We had to use the jury assembly room as our short calendar room. And as my friend Judge Pickard always said, you better hope the marshals are doing their job at the metal detector, because we are really interacting with the public in close quarters. Judge Roraback lived right around the corner from that building. And unfortunately, I bumped into him more socially than I have in the old courthouse.
Okay.
But he's a wonderful guy.
Very good. Well, I wish you the best going forward. It must have been I bet you it just flew right by. But again, congratulations. And again, in difficult times, thank you for doing all that you can to make sure that the people of Connecticut get justice. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Kissel.
Thank you, Senator Kissel. Comment or question? Representative Staffstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just briefly, Judge, congratulations on your renomination, and thanks for your work up there in the northwest corner for us. Curious, I know it seems to be a dated article, but I was fascinated by the title of "How to Mud Wrestle with Plaintiff and Not Get Yourself Dirty." That is something that inevitably comes up before this committee every year, of the issue of access for pro ses in the court without putting the branch or particular judges in a position of coaching a participant in a case. So I'm wondering if you could give us a real quick primer on that.
I will, Representative Stafford. Thanks for the question. That article was written 32 years ago from the perspective of an insurance defense lawyer who had just tried his first case against a self-represented party. And it was meant as a primer for how to get through that. And basically, it wasn't really pejorative at all to the self-represented party, but it really focused on making sure the attorney kept his eyes on the prize, if you will, kept his focus on the issues, despite the distractions that are attendant sometimes when you do have a self-represented party. As a judge, obviously, we encounter self-represented parties all the time. And I do remember that when I was nominated by Governor Malloy, one of the first things he pointed out to me in his last interview with me was that we're going to see a lot of people, more and more people all the time, coming to court without lawyers. I certainly understand that a lot of people cannot afford to have lawyers. I certainly understand that people come to court with very difficult issues that need to be decided by the court. And I understand that the people that don't have lawyers are probably terrified being here. And once again, their terror at being here is probably exacerbated by the fact that the stakes are so high for them. It may be a divorce issue, maybe a criminal issue, it may be a civil lawsuit. So what I do as a judge with a self-represented party is I try to, first of all, welcome them and make them feel welcomed. Second of all, if we're having whether it's a hearing or a settlement conference or a status conference, I lay out to them what the process is going to be like, so it's not going to be unfamiliar with them. If there is a hearing that's going to take place, I lay out the issues and the elements that must be proven by each side so that they have something of an idea about what's going to happen at that point in time. And that's how I deal with the self-represented parties as a judge these days.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Representative Stafford.
Thank you, Representative Staffstrom. Comment or question from other members of the committee? If not, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Judge Moore. We will hear next from the Honorable Kevin S. Russo of Shelton. Where are you? Oh, I see you, Judge Russo. If you'd raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you will provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
You may proceed with your statement.
Thank you. I would like to begin by thanking the members of Judicial Selection for putting me here. I would also like to thank the governor for nominating me and for the governor's staff for their guidance in advance of today's meeting. I thank the co-chairs, the vice chairs, and the committee for taking the time to evaluate my body of work. I'm grateful to Judges Carroll and Bizzuto for their confidence in my abilities. I'm fortunate to work presently with such capable and effective judges in our district here in Fairfield, Judges Dayton, Hernandez, Moranich, McShane, Moses, and Richards. If you happen to find my body of work satisfactory for reappointment, it will be a reflection of the overworked and understaffed clerks, marshals, secretaries, and court reporters that I am privileged to work with every day. I want to earn from you a reappointment. Just like you had to earn your seat through an elective process, I also need to earn your vote. If you feel that I haven't, then I should not be reappointed. But if you feel that I have earned, then I will feel the same humility and honor that I felt 8 years ago when you first appointed me. In closing, I want to thank my family. They continue to be miserable when I leave at all hours of the late night or early morning to review and sign warrants. I hope you deliver to them 8 more years of misery. Thank you for inviting me, and I'll await your questions and comments.
Thank you, Judge Russo. Representative Callahan.
Thank you, Senator Winfield. Judge Russo, as I mentioned before, we went on to recording. It's very good to see you. I think the everyone here should know what a great job you did when you were in Danbury. And I know Representative O'Day is flagged his hand up for after me, but I'm going to use a term that he uses often and my father used to use, is Judge Russo is not a judge who was ever afflicted by robitis. He is a guy who worked very well with the staff and respected the staff's opinions in each department. I know when I ran probation down in Danbury, he would often call our office and even come to our office to find out our opinions on people before he made judgments. So he's not only invested in making the best judgment for the defendant and for the attorneys involved, but he always called into his chambers or came to see people that had knowledge of that defendant. So he always went the extra mile to make sure he knew what he was ruling on and got the best information at hand. So Judge Russo, it's great to see you again, and I'm certainly happy that you were reappointed by the governor.
Representative Callahan, I thank you for your comments. I still haven't quite gotten over that you beat me in the semifinals of the cornhole tournament, but it's still good to see you, sir.
Hey, I'm sorry, you're off that day.
Thank you, Representative Callahan. Representative O'Day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, Your Honor, that was one of the better opening remarks I've heard in my 10 years. And thanking your staff. I do know firsthand as a litigator how understaffed judges are with the clerks and court reporters and whatnot. And hopefully we'll be able to rectify some of that this year with some money to properly fund the judicial branch. And the key comment I took from that is, yes, one of my questions that I actually learned from Justice McDonald was making sure no one's afflicted with robitis. And just from your opening remarks, I know that's not the case. I've not had the pleasure of appearing before you, but I do believe that humility is a key not only for judges, but also for legislators and frankly, everyone walking the planet. So thank you very much, Your Honor, for your service and your comments, and good luck going forward.
Thank you so much. If we were lucky enough to have you visit Bridgeport, you would see that in the courtroom and around the courthouse, it is them and not me. It's the staff that does everything here. Thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you, Representative O'Day. Comment or question, Representative Stastrom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations, Judge Russo, on your reappointment. I would just be remiss if I didn't put on the record the number of calls, texts, emails I've gotten from fellow members of the Bridgeport Bar over the last few days, commending your reappointment and wishing for speedy confirmation for you. You certainly have made an impact on the bar in Bridgeport in your time since you've come down from Danbury, and thank you for your service to the people of Greater Bridgeport.
Well, they deserve a lot of the credit, the bar. I'm not sure I deserve such high praise, but I'll accept it. But total team effort. Thank you, Representative Stastrom, for your comments, sir.
Thank you, Representative Stastrom. Senator Kissel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Your Honor, I want to associate myself with the remarks of Representative O'Day. And I'm sorry, I've got like this horn going off in my house. It was an excellent opening statement. And indeed, I would say that if your family still misses you when you have to leave the house at crazy times, you're a very lucky man, because I hear more often than not, Dad, don't you have someplace to go? So we all have different home environments, and the fact that they still want you to hang around, that's awesome. But keep up the good work, and you're absolutely correct. If it weren't for our support folks, and of course, I think that my legislative aide is the best, but you know what? All the legislative aides in the legislature just do huge amounts of work. And if it weren't for them, none of us could shine and do the jobs that we do. So you are so spot on in thanking the support staff in the judicial branch. And we indeed in the legislature feel the exact same way. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're equally spot on, and it's nice to see you again, Senator Kissel. Thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you, Senator Kissel. Comment or question? If not, Thank you very much, Judge Russo, for joining us this morning. And I would just add to what everyone else has already said. And in the moment when it really is about you, it is almost refreshing to see you centering the work of others. Says something. Thank you.
Senator Winfield, thank you for having me, sir.
We will move on now to the state referees on our agenda for the morning, beginning with the Honorable Anthony V. Avalone of the great city of New Haven. Yes, I'm biased.
It's okay.
If you are, let's see, I know you're on there. I see you. If you would raise your right hand for me. Okay, I see it. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury? You're on mute, Judge. We heard you earlier, so I know it's possible. Just still, there you go.
There it is.
Let me just read it again, just to make sure we do.
Sorry about that.
It's fine. Raise your right hand, please, again. Okay. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, you may provide your statement.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the governor for the confidence he's shown in me by renominating me for the position of judge trial referee. I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, and your co-chair, Representative Staffstrom, as well as the vice chairs and ranking members Fishbein and Kissel. I've had the privilege of being a judge trial referee for the past 4 years, and I have been assigned permanently to the New Haven JD. There I have worked exclusively on the civil side, dealing with mediations, pretrials, court trials, as well as the foreclosure docket, and most significantly spending a great deal of time in the housing court. It's given me an opportunity to engage with members of the bar, in particular the New Haven bar, which, by the way, is excellent in terms of its representation of its clients and its respect that it has for the court. It also has given me an opportunity to deal with a number of pro se litigants, especially during this time of the pandemic, when we're dealing with people through the Zoom. And you have to give those people the sense that they are in a courtroom setting. And I believe I've conducted myself in that fashion. And I look forward to serving for 8 additional years with your recommendation. So with that, I will leave it to question at your pleasure.
Thank you, Judge Avalone. We will go to comments and questions. I would just say for the information of all, I did skip one of the judges. We will go back and grab him after Judge Avalone. Comment or question for members of the committee? Senator Kissel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Your Honor, great to see you.
Good to see you again, Senator.
I know that you found yourself being nominated to be a judge sort of later in your career. I know you served in the legislature. I believe it was in the Senate. I don't know if it was Senator Winfield's seat or Senator Looney's seat. You can correct me on that one, but I have not met one person, no matter where in their lifespan or their career they were honored to go to the bench, that ever said that they didn't like the job. And so you've had such a wonderful career in a variety of capacities, but I'm wondering if you're sort of saying to yourself, darn, I should have did this earlier on because I really love this job. I'm just wondering what your take is on that.
Well, I did serve in the Senate. Senator Looney succeeded me. I had the pleasure of serving on the Judiciary Committee for 10 years and chairing it for 6. And so the room is a very familiar and comfortable room. I will tell you that I have mixed feelings about when I joined the bench. I had an opportunity earlier in my career, decided because of family considerations to wait. That time gave me a perspective that I may not have had earlier on in my career. So I think all of life experiences, things happen sometimes in strange ways. But I think the life experiences that I had made me a better judge in these later years.
All right, that's terrific. And again, thank you for all your public service. I know it was a little bit controversial given your age at the nomination, but we adjusted compensation policies and pension policies and all of
That's
that. And I'm completely with you. God has a reason for everything. Life has a reason for everything. Sometimes it is not for us to fathom, and we're just mere mortals. But you look great. You look like you're really happy in your job. And I know that you're helping to provide justice to the people of Connecticut in a difficult environment. And I wish you the very best for another 8 years. And again, thank you, sir.
You're very kind. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Kissel. Comment or question from other members of the committee? Comment or question? If not, thank you very much, Judge Avalon, for joining us this morning. And we will go backwards to be a judge of the Superior Court, the Honorable Kevin A. Randolph.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Judge, where are you?
Can you hear me, Senator?
I hear you now, yes. If you would raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you will provide to the committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I would affirm. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for skipping you. You may provide your statement.
Well, I was just hoping, Senator, that wasn't a forecast.
Well, let's hope not.
Good morning, Senator Winfield, Representative Staffstrom, Senator Kissel, Representative Fishbein, and members of the committee. First, I would thank you for inviting me this morning, and I would like to thank Governor Lamont for nominating me for a third term as a Superior Court judge. My current assignment is in the Stamford-Norwalk Judicial District, sitting in criminal court. During my judicial career, I have sat in juvenile court, family court, housing court, small claims court, foreclosure, and of course, criminal courts. And right here in Stamford, I have had the role, I guess you would call it, of being a utility player and sitting in all of those courts except for housing court. I have been a presiding judge in juvenile court in Danbury, Stamford, and Waterbury, and I have been a presiding judge in criminal court in Norwalk, Enfield, and Manchester. Just a little history. I was a faculty presenter at the Connecticut Judges Institute in 2007, 2010, and 2016. I would look forward to another term, and thank you for your patience and consideration, and would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Judge. Comment or question from members of the committee? Senator Kissel.
Congratulations, Your Honor. I just have one question. Right now, the status of the Enfield Courthouse, GA 13, is it's sort of in stasis. It's not being utilized, but it's not officially closed. Judicial branch is assessing how it can best be utilized. I'm hoping it gets some business going forward, but here we are up in the Northland, up on the border with Massachusetts. So you can't even draw a circle around it and say that you're drawing from the entire circumference. I'm just wondering what your experience was while you were here in Enfield, and any insights you can give to the fact that did you have a good amount of business? And again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but it is where I first started practicing law, and more than sentimental, it's important to the folks up here. But you were right there in the trenches, and I'm just wondering how that experience was.
Thank you, Senator. That was approximately 9 years ago.
Okay.
And of course, the movement of the business heavily depends on how the prosecutors and defense attorneys work together. And so what I can say is the business moved very smoothly. Other than that, from 9 years ago, I had a good experience.
Was Attorney Parakilis the chief state's attorney for that for GA 13 at the
He
time?
headed that office at that time, yes.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you, Your Honor, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kissel. Comment or question from other members of the committee? Comment or question? Seeing none, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Judge.
Thank you.
Representative Stasham, you have it.
Thank you, Senator Winfield. All right, we will go back to item number 4 on our public hearing agenda, which is to be a state referee. Next up will be the Honorable Patrick J. Clifford of Clinton. Judge Clifford, if you're with us, if you might raise your right hand for me, sir. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Great, thank you, sir. You can give an opening statement.
All right, briefly, I want to thank Governor Lamont for renominating me. I want to thank the co-chairs, members of the committee. I'm honored to be a judge for the state of Connecticut. Frightening to say, over the last 32 years, I began in 1990. I was appointed by Governor O'Neill. This is my 4th reappointment. I took senior judge status in 2017. I turned 70 in February of 2020, so I've been a judge trial referee since then. 32 years as a judge, 31 years I sat on criminal, 1 year I sat on juvenile. I know this term covers from 2014, so 2012, I became the presiding judge of criminal in New Haven in the Part A with the more serious cases. I was still the presiding judge during when COVID hit in February and March of 2020. At that time, certainly they didn't want anybody over 70 coming in and didn't want many people coming into the court. So I still had a number of pre-trials I was doing. I'm still in the midst of some of those. I still have people certainly to sentence that go back that time period. I worked basically without pay through the judicial virtual pre-trying cases with attorneys that I've been dealing with. So I did that all through 2020 from home up until around September, when another judge took my place as the presiding judge. I still worked with him, had him observe me in the virtual, watching how I did pre-trials, because he was new to the presiding position in New Haven. So that ended in October. And then they needed help in New Haven in the GA. So in December, I volunteered to go into office. My wife fully backed me on that after being with me so long during the pandemic. So in December, all the way through March, I went to the GA in New Haven at 121 Elm Street, worked there at least 2 days a week without pay, which was fine. And then starting in, I believe it was the end of March or April, they allowed JTRs or some of us to be paid, our per diem rate. So that's what I've been doing since then. I've been working over there. I do the arraignments, I do motor vehicle. I'm trying to help work out the jury cases, because obviously there's a lot of those. And all I can say is I still enjoy going into work. I've been doing this for 32 years. I still enjoy every day I go in there. I'll be glad to answer any questions that anyone has. Yes, Senator Rickes.
Well, thank you, Judge. And
sorry, I'm not supposed to call him. You're right.
it's a little weird being on the other side of the table, isn't it, Judge? So,
you're right.
But thank you certainly for your service to the state, especially during this pandemic. All right, let's start with Senator Kissel, since he seems eager to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm a little confused. This is the first that I've heard that judges were working without getting paid. Could you just explain that a little bit? I just don't know why that would occur.
Well, I hope I didn't get any, I'm not getting anybody in trouble. I mean, they're really, especially when you're over 70, it was, we get paid on a per diem basis. Obviously, when the pandemic hit, there was basically skeleton staffs, judges. All the judges weren't coming in. Many were doing it, and we've learned obviously how to do a lot of these things virtually. But certainly, with a lot of judges even home at that time, I don't think the state wanted to be paying senior judges and judge trial referees on a per diem basis when they had enough full-time staff. Because there was limited cases coming in at that particular time. So no, I mean, it was just, I volunteered. They really had no need for a lot of judge trial referees to be coming in and working at that time. However, specifically in New Haven, they appeared to need that in the GA. So that's the reason I volunteered. I didn't ask for any money. I asked whether I could go in, and they indicated if I was willing to do it without pay, and that was fine. And then eventually, after doing that a number of months, they did allow pay.
Well, Your Honor, first of all, your reputation precedes you, highly esteemed by your peers and those that have practiced in your court. Secondly, it's very laudable that you did that without pay. I chuckle with the whole thing about, after being home for so long. I think we all sort of look for a reason to get out of the house. I mean, here I am in my dining room. I'd much rather to be honest, as empty as the legislative office building is, I'm jealous that Representative Staffstrom is clearly in the Judiciary Committee conference room, and I should have gone into Hartford today too, just to get the feel. While you were in New Haven, did you have an opportunity to work alongside Judge O'Keefe, who actually, I believe, handled some very difficult criminal matters as well over the years? And I'm just wondering, I have met him several occasions, and my aide is his daughter. So, I have a little bit of bias there, but I've heard, and again, New Haven has such a sterling reputation as a place that metes out justice. I'm just wondering your take on that.
Well, I mean, about as far as Judge O'Keefe, he's an extremely good friend. I certainly know his daughter. She went to the same college I did. I didn't work with Judge O'Keefe. He's been sitting and working a couple of days in the Meriden GA, which is part of the New Haven Judicial District. So sometimes they like to keep us apart anyway, but he's in Meriden and I'm usually working in New Haven, but we stay in touch all the time.
Well, I'm not going to mess with any Providence College graduates. So congratulations, Your Honor, and I wish you the best going forward.
Thank you very much.
Well, speaking of Providence College, Representative O'Day, do you have questions, sir?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And it's a little darker day this morning after loss to Villanova last night, but we'll have a chance to get him back, Your Honor, at Villanova. We are ranked number 8 in the country, just for those that are interested. But no, Your Honor, you actually were a judge in a case that was one of the hardest I've ever been involved with. A woman was paralyzed and two minors, or two 18-year-olds were racing in Bridgeport, and it was a very difficult case. You handled it extremely well for all sides, including the victim. I'm not even sure you remember it, but it will last for me for the rest of my life, and how you handled that very difficult case. And so you also your reputation precedes you with a mutual Providence College friend, Judge Kevin Doyle. Obviously, you were a mentor to as well, and he speaks very highly of you. So thank you for your continued service. The one question I do have is, how many days did you think you worked? And my understanding is that per diem is $125 or $150. Is that true?
No, it's more than that.
So how many, I didn't know that there was that much of an unpaid commitment, and I appreciate it. And hopefully we can rectify that so it doesn't happen again. But thank you, Your Honor, for your service, and your agreement, you're agreeing to serve even when unpaid. And like you, my family was glad to have me out of the house on a daily basis during COVID. But thank you, Your Honor, for your service.
Well, thank you, Representative O'Day. I don't want to, I'm not complaining, of course, about not getting paid. It was a situation where I did not disagree with judicial that JTRs, people over 70, which certainly people were more concerned, certainly with people over a certain age when the COVID first hit and we didn't understand a lot about it. And I don't think they wanted all of the JTRs certainly to be coming in. As I said, the was trying to figure out how we were going to do all of the work with limited judges going in. I think New Haven had a unique situation where they happened to be shorthanded. They didn't have many full-time judges, so they could use some bodies. And since I've been sitting in New Haven, I've been doing criminal for 31 years as a judge, I think they felt that I could help, and I agreed to do that. As far as Providence College, I saw Kevin Doyle last night. Kevin Doyle, who was an intern with me from high school, he went to Providence and now he's a judge. I saw him at the game last night. I was at the Villanova Providence game. Not that I wasn't concerned about this reappointment process, but it was a big game, and I got in a little late last night with another judge. Judge Fisher was with me also. So I also have to correct you. I like to take compliments, but I've never sat in Bridgeport. So if that case occurred in Bridgeport, it wouldn't have been me. But thanks.
Thank you, Your Honor. No, I think it was New Haven, but yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, New Haven, okay.
Okay, Representative Callahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge Clifford, it's good to see you on this dark morning. I knew Representative O'Day would bring up the loss to Villanova last night. And I did many years ago appear in front of you when I worked for judicial. And as I mentioned about Judge Schuman and Judge Russo, you're another one of the judges who has not contracted the affliction of robitis. Great with staff. And I know your daughter Megan is still working with judicial, and she was always a friend of mine and just had an excellent work ethic as well. So it obviously runs in the family. You're a gracious judge, not only to the attorneys, but to the defendants and to the staff. And I witnessed it firsthand. So it's a pleasure to see you before us this morning. And it's a pleasure to see you looking so well, sir.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
Representative Howard.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
Good, Representative. How are you?
Well, Judge Clifford.
You want to talk about the loss to Villanova last night too, or are you okay with that?
No. Actually, so I was going to tell Judge Clifford, I generally leave these niceties to my friends here who are lawyers, and they go through this, and I try to stay out of it, Your Honor. But I have hanging in my office a certificate signed by you that I got in 2016, and you may not remember me, but I've never forgot you. In 20 years of police work, there's a few training courses that I've been through that were, I think, the best that I ever had. One of them that you and Judge Gold did, were named after Arnold Markle. And I just bring that to my colleagues' attention because that training that you guys did is a testament to your commitment, to your service to criminal justice, and just getting law enforcement and policing done correctly. And it stuck with me. I had the blue binder right here on my desk. I reference it often. This is a disclosure to some of my colleagues here who are lawyers that now I pull these cases out of nowhere. Now they know they can blame you for that. So I appreciate that. I'm so grateful to see you again. And you look great you mentioned your age several times. So the best wishes to you, sir. And I'm be honored to vote in favor of you.
Thank you very much. And I missed the teaching. I probably did the teaching at the Municipal Police Training Academy for about 33 years. And I actually miss it. I haven't done it in a couple of years now. Thank you.
My pleasure, sir. And I'm sure that they miss you.
Thank you.
Representative Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's good to see you again, Judge Clifford.
Good to see you.
It's been a few years since I've been before you, but just so my colleagues know, I mean, he's not dealing with the easy cases on the Part A docket. And I had a very complicated case involving someone who was under the age of 18. And, you know, I can't say enough about how Judge Clifford handled the case and how he handled my client. And, you know, even though she ended up going to jail, it was, you know, probably about as positive an experience that you could have. And I appreciate you, and I'm glad of your willingness to continue to serve and help out in New Haven.
Thank you, Representative Quinn. Appreciate the comments.
Further questions or comments from the committee? If not, Judge Clifford, obviously, congratulations on your reappointment. Certainly, you have left an impact on several members of this committee, and I would assume many more members of the state of Connecticut. So thank you for your willingness to continue.
Thank you very much.
Next, we will turn to the Honorable Julia L. Crawford of New Haven. Judge Crawford,
Yes, I'm here.
if you might raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
If you have an opening statement, you can go ahead and make it at this time.
Good morning, co-chairs, Senator Winfield, Representative Staffstrom, ranking members, Senator Kissel, and Representative Fishbein, and other members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you. I also thank Governor Lamont for nominating me to serve another term, this time as a Superior Court state referee. I was first appointed a Superior Court judge in January 1998. My status changed to Superior Court state referee in April 2020. Over the past 24 years, I have presided over criminal, family, housing, including foreclosures and juvenile matters. From 2003 to 2019, I was assigned to criminal dockets, primarily as a trial judge. For all but 2 of those years, I was assigned to Waterbury, and 2 years I was in there, I was assigned to Hartford. During that time, I presided over 46 trials to verdict, most of them Part A, including 8 murders. 2 of them, I sat on a 3-judge panel, and 1 of them I was the presiding judge for that panel. I have also covered other dockets when needed, including short calendar and domestic violence. In September 2019, I was assigned to the Child Protection Session in Middletown, where I presided over hearings on orders of temporary custody and trials on the termination of parental rights. Unfortunately, with the COVID pandemic, judicial proceedings were interrupted when the courts closed in mid-March 2020. And obviously the last 2 years, those are just in a totally different category. Since September of 2021, I have been assigned to New Haven, my home district. I've been assigned to a Raymond's and motor vehicle docket in September and the housing docket in November. I am next scheduled for February 22nd to preside over the housing docket. I found every assignment to be educational, challenging, and rewarding. I did serve on the Rules Committee from 2010 to 2013, and I served on the Criminal Justice Commission from 2011 to 2019. Outside of the courthouse, I continue to teach trial practice at Yale Law School. I am the chair of the Cooper Fellows of the Connecticut Bar Foundation. I have appreciated the honor and privilege of serving as a judge, and I respectfully ask for your support to be appointed for another term, to continue serving the people of the state of Connecticut as a Superior Court state referee. Thank you for your consideration, and I am happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Judge Crawford. Representative Doyle.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Representative Dillon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to talk about basketball or the Super Bowl for that matter, but I would like to remember that when we first met, you were a prosecutor. Yes. I had been working with domestic violence. We were both very passionate about change. I could not have foreseen a day like today. And I just want to thank you for your service, not only to the courts, but to the profession and to our community. I appreciate that, and you honor us.
Thank you for your kind words.
Thank you, Representative Dillon. Further questions or comments from the committee? Further comments or questions? If not, Judge Crawford, congratulations on your renomination. Thank you for your service to date. And thank you in addition to your service outside of the courtroom. I am a firm believer that it's important that our judges be involved in their community and be involved outside of just their 9-to-5 courtroom activity. So I thank you for your work in the Bar Association and your work with the Bar Foundation as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Next up, we will hear from the Honorable Julie DeCoco Dewey of Wallingford. Judge Dewey.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you might raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I swear.
If you have an opening statement, you can go ahead and make it at this time.
Well, good morning, Senator Winfield, Representative Stafstrom, Senator Kissel, Representative Fishbein, members of the committee. I am honored to have this opportunity to appear before you today. I do wish to thank Governor Lamont for nominating me for reappointment. I was appointed to the bench in March of 1998, and since that time, I've served in Bridgeport, Hartford, Middletown, New Britain, New Haven, and Waterbury. The bulk of my assignments have been in criminal law, but I've also been assigned to civil, family, and juvenile courts. In most of those assignments, I served as an administrative or a presiding judge. Since the day of my first appointment over 24 years ago, I have considered it a genuine privilege to work for the people of the state of Connecticut. I've met extraordinary individuals, judges, staff, attorneys, litigants, and victims. All have contributed to making my position and my time as a judge both rewarding and humbling. I would be grateful to this committee and the General Assembly for your approval and nomination, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Judge. Representative Fishbein, also of Wallingford.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Your Honor. I've never had the pleasure of coming before you.
I guess you did once. You were once before me in family. I remember.
Wow. Wow. I remember just about every court appearance I've ever had, but you must have, well, been remarkable or unremarkable or,
Unremarkable.
Yeah. So, but I have to say, I frequently hear very good things about you.
Thank you.
As a judge, and we share a town, and I want to just say, I always hear very good things about you. I don't get out to Middletown criminal very often, but thank you for your service and congratulations on your renomination. And I'm sure you won't have a problem. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Fishbein.
Further questions or comments from the committee? Further questions or comments? If not, Judge, congratulations on your renomination and thank you for your service to the state.
Thank you.
Next up will be the Honorable Edward R. Carzon of Westport. Judge, we could get you to unmute yourself there.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Good morning. If you might raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you will provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I so swear.
Great. Judge, if you have an opening statement, you can go ahead and make it.
Thank you very much. I wish to thank Governor Lamont for renominating me to the bench to assist as a judge trial referee. I thank the Judiciary Committee for conducting these hearings. I've been a judge since 1990. During that time, I was the administrative judge in Stamford when we knocked down the old courthouse and built the beautiful new one. During my last 8 years, I sat civil for 7. This past year, because of the pandemic and the needs of the judicial branch, I sat family 3 days per week in Stamford. I felt I was helpful to the people and to the system. I continue to strive to be a good and fair judge. The Fairfield County Bar Association thought I was reaching that goal by awarding me the Justice Robert Callahan Award for outstanding service as a judge in 2019. In 2021, I was inducted into the Connecticut Veterans Hall of Fame for my military service, which included 1 year in Vietnam and my subsequent service to the state of Connecticut. I ask you to please consider my nomination favorably so that I may continue to serve the judicial branch and the people of this great state. Thank you very much, and I welcome your questions.
Thank you, Judge. Representative O'Day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just be real brief. Your Honor, it's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for your years of service. I did have the pleasure of trying a case before you back in the old Stamford Courthouse when we would have to close the blinds and use the white wall as a projector screen. So thank you, Your Honor, honestly, for all your years of service and willingness to serve again. And I congratulate you on your nomination. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you very much. Good to see you again.
Further questions or comments from the committee? Further questions, comments, Representative Fishbein.
Here I am. Good morning, Judge. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Judge, I'm looking at the backup that you submitted, and I believe at the time that you submitted it was probably before the change in the year. Well, this is okay. Yeah, so it's November, and you said that you worked about 90 days in 2021, and that you handled in those 90 days about 500 cases. So, how did you quantify? What does that mean? How did you quantify that?
Well, I primarily sat in the family violence docket, and we would have approximately 5 to 10 cases assigned per day to that particular docket, so that each day I was managing approximately 10 cases that would have been before me, some of which never reached hearings because of the good work in the Family Relations Division of assisting people in resolving their disputes short of having to have judicial intervention, but others would have been hearings, some of them long, some of them short. But I use that number based on approximately 10 cases per day. Then I would assist in other needs as the docket evolved from the other family judges.
Okay, thank you. And when you say the domestic violence docket, is that primarily in criminal court, or because we do have domestic violence in family court also?
No, this is the civil family docket, 46B 15 hearings.
Okay, so restraining orders, family violence restraining orders.
Yes.
Hearings. Okay, and in the context of those hearings, there was a procedure put in place a few years ago where family relations will screen a case. They meet with the applicant when they get to court. An ex parte is issued and a report is issued, and a level of risk is assessed that particular matter. Do you know, at your courthouse, do they allow the applicant as well as the respondent to be a part of that process, or is it just the applicant?
Both.
Okay, so that's
right. That's a very helpful tool to the judge, because then I immediately have an indication based on their criteria and the summary sheet what the level of risk is as they've perceived it, because they're skilled in people and I'm skilled in the law.
Yeah, understood. In my experience, because I do a significant amount of that. The courthouses that I go to, family relations just meets with the applicant. They don't let the respondent into that meeting.
No, the
but
meeting is generally not together, but they do work with both sides of the street.
Yeah, I know they work with both, but that report that's issued, in my experience, is merely based upon the family relations officer meeting with the applicant, and the respondent doesn't hear what's communicated. You concur at your courthouse? That's how it goes?
That's my understanding.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Further questions or comments from the committee? Further questions or comments? If not, Judge, thank you for being with us today. Congratulations on your renomination, and thank you for your service to the state.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Next up will be the Honorable William J. Lavery of Newtown, who is
Good
not.
morning. Can you hear me?
I can, Judge, and we're just glad you're not a Providence Friar, that you're actually a Fairfield.
No, I went to Fairfield U.
Well, I pointed out that's that's to the Catholic colleges, that's for sure. So even if Providence did steal our basketball coach a few years back.
Yes, he was a good one.
All right, if you could raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information you provide to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I will. I do.
Thank you, Judge. If you could give your opening statement.
I'd like to thank Governor Lamont for reappointing me for another term as a judge trial referee, and I appreciate your committee with these difficult times meeting so quickly after you're opened up the legislature, because my term's up in March. Since my last appearance in 2014 before the Judiciary Committee, I have sat on the appellate court hearing cases, writing opinions, doing memos for the 9 sitting judges on petitions for certification in zoning and inland wetland appeals. I have also sat on PAC conferences. This is when judge trial referees try to settle appeals to Supreme and appellate courts, and many times are successful in doing so. I also sit on the Superior Court in Danbury doing civil and criminal cases. In addition, the prior Chief Justice appointed me to the Probate Judicial Review Council, and the present Chief Justice reappointed me. I have sat on it since 2013. I have been chairman since 2013. I enjoy my work as a judge trial referee, and I hope to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Questions or comments from the committee? Representative Conlon.
Just briefly, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Judge Lavery, it's good to see you. And it was
See you.
always good to see you in the halls of Danbury Court, GA3.
Your father broke me in the first day I was a judge.
Yeah, we miss him dearly.
Yes, so do I.
It's great to see, and your reputation in Danbury precedes you as a great jurist and well respected by the staff. So I appreciate you coming before our committee today. And as I mentioned, it's always good to see you looking so well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Further questions or comments from the committee? Further questions or comments from the committee? If not, Judge Lavery, thank you for being with us.
Thank you
for your willingness to continue to serve.
Thank you so much.
All right. Finally, we will move on to the Honorable Douglas S. Levine of West Hartford. Judge Levine, how are you, sir?
Yes.
If you could raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm, as the case may be, that the information provided to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Great. If you have an opening statement, go ahead and make it.
Thank you. Good morning, Senator Winfield, Representative Staffstrom,
Senator Kissel, Representative Fishbein, members of the Judiciary Committee. My name is Doug Levine. I consider it an honor and a privilege to appear before you today. I want to thank Governor Lamont for nominating me for reappointment. I also want to thank each member of the committee for considering my nomination. I was first appointed to the Superior Court bench by Governor Weicker in 1993. In 2005, Governor Rell appointed me to the appellate court. In 2020, I became a judge trial referee. I have presided over and decided a wide variety of cases. I want to add that I have loved being a judge on the trial bench and the appellate court. Every case presents a wrinkle that I've not seen before and an opportunity to deepen my legal knowledge. I always try to remind myself that for the parties appearing before me and my colleagues, their case often is the most consequential thing in their lives. I've served on a variety of committees. I'll mention a few. One committee aimed at assisting lawyers with substance abuse problems, the Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers Committee. I've served on a committee to make sure that clients who have been defrauded by their lawyers are made whole. And I'm presently serving on a committee established by the legislature, which is investigating the state's approach to handling hate crimes. I have taught as an adjunct at both Quinnipiac and UConn and regularly speak to law students and other civic groups. I continue to sit on cases as a JTR at the appellate court. I regularly preside over PACs or settlement conferences, as Judge Lavery just mentioned. I would add that the appellate court is a wonderful court. It's collegial, and in my opinion, it's an excellent place to be a judge. My colleagues are wonderful. The court staff, including the law clerks who do much of the work, and the secretarial staff are essential. And I do want to give a brief shout out to the marshals. The marshals at this court, and I know around the state, are professional and helpful. And the marshals here are particularly helpful. I've had a few instances where I needed somebody to carry something out to the car or to assist me with a small problem. And they go out of their way to be courteous and part of what is really sort of a quasi family here. So thank you again for considering my nomination. I hope you act favorably on it. And I would, of course, be delighted to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Judge. Representative Fishbein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's still morning. Good morning, Judge. How
Yes,
are
good
you?
morning.
Looking at the backup that you submitted on the first page, there's a portion that says other pertinent information. And interestingly enough, your answer is will supply if requested, which becomes a enigma and a conundrum, or a conundrum and an enigma. If requested, what other pertinent information would you have provided?
Let me just find that. Are you referring to written product writings?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, it's no, on the first page
Yes.
of what you submitted,
Yep.
there's a question at the bottom. It says other pertinent information, and most people just put none. But you put will supply if requested, which would lead one to believe that there is something pertinent, but you will only provide if requested. You see what I mean?
You know, I'm having trouble finding it. What was the question, please? I have that before me, but
It just says other pertinent information. It's on the very first page.
Oh, right. I've got it here. Let me see.
And it's at the bottom of that first page. It's underneath where it says boards and commissions, honors, those kinds of things. You see?
I'm actually having a little trouble finding it. I can tell you there's nothing relevant that would be particularly relevant. Service on boards or agencies. Oh, there it is. Okay. I've been an adjunct. I volunteered to teach a not for lawyers class, Right to Citizens of Hartford.
Yeah, look at the first page of that document. The document is titled Connecticut Judicial Branch. biographical information.
Yes.
The first page, the last portion, it says other pertinent information. And your response was, will supply if requested, which would lead one to believe that there is pertinent information.
I apologize. I have these documents in front of me, and I can tell you, I'm not sure I wrote that at the time, but there's absolutely nothing that's pertinent to my qualifications or my experience as a judge that would be of concern. Sometimes I might put that because I don't want to clutter the paperwork. But would you do me a favor, please? Could you read me the question to which that is a response?
Yes, it just says other pertinent information, and there's a colon, and then you inserted will supply if requested.
Yes, but what is the overall question? I apologize.
That's the question. So this is the first page. It asks about your name, your assignment, your assignments over the last term, the year that you were appointed. And as we get to the bottom of the page, it merely asks you to provide any other pertinent information. And most people that come before this committee that I've seen, they just put none there. As you did with, there's a question, honors and awards received during the last term. You put none. Right. But with regard to this particular question, you didn't put none. You put will supply if requested. That was your response. Yeah. So I'm just, what were you thinking?
I apologize. I'm looking through my papers here, and I see the form that I submitted to the Judiciary Committee.
Yeah, what's the title on that form?
That says Senior Judge, State Referee Nomination, Judicial Questionnaire.
Okay, the one that I'm referring to says Connecticut Judicial Branch biographical information for reappointment purposes.
Oh, okay. Let me find that. That's somewhere here. Okay, there it is. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I finally found it. It's the last page in my package here. Other pertinent information. I probably should have said none if requested. I mean, I have other things that I've done in my life that might be of some interest, but there's nothing at all that I'm attempting to fail to disclose or to cover up or anything along that line. Sometimes, people, for example, they want to know what kind of reading you enjoy doing or what you do in your spare time and things like that. That's really all I was referring to. It's nothing at all that I would think is of interest to this committee, to be honest.
Okay. Who is your favorite author?
Well, that's a really good question. I would have to fall back on Shakespeare, and I've not read all the plays, but I have read many of them. And Hamlet is one of my favorite plays, and I'm actually a great admirer of Abraham Lincoln. I've written op-eds about him, and his favorite play was Macbeth. And so just because of that, I would add that to the list. There's some other authors who I admire a great deal, but at the end of the day, I think I'll go with, tried and true.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize taking so long trying to get to.
No, I apologize for not finding the document. It's at the end, and I couldn't find it, but there's nothing. It's nothing of note.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative, I think. Further questions or comments from this committee? Further questions or comments? If not, Judge, thank you for being with us, and congratulations on your renomination.
May I mention one more thing? I don't have a horse in the race of the basketball game last night. I went to Colgate. We have a pretty good team, but it doesn't do too well against the bigger and better schools.
Fair enough. All right. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much.
All right. With that, let me just ask for the record, Madam Administrator, do we have any members of the public who have signed up to testify at this public hearing?
No, we do not.
Okay. Seeing that there is no one who has signed up to testify, I will declare this public hearing closed. I will convene our committee meeting for Wednesday, February 16th, 2020. I think we need to change links. Is that correct? Okay.
That is correct.
So I am going to recess the committee meeting at this time. I believe my co-chair is finishing up something. We'll give a short break. So why don't we do this? Why don't we reconvene at high noon, right? So we will reconvene the committee meeting on the other link at